had my GR Corolla for a little over 6 months. It's only worked for about 3 of those months, and I thought it would be an interesting perspective to do a 6-month owner review on the dark side of owning one of the GR Corollas. God forbid something does happen to you, to give you guys a little bit more insight into these cars outside of what you might find on some of the typical reviews of these things. This is my 2024 GR Corolla. At this point, it is now fully built with a built engine, upgraded transmission, bigger turbo, the whole kit and caboodle with this thing. And I feel like most of the reviews you're gonna see out there are gonna be the typical, hey, I've had the car X amount of time, I've been driving it, I like this, I don't like this, XYZ things. And we'll talk about some of that with this car. Personally, I feel like after what I've gone through with this thing, I can give you guys a little bit of a different perspective if you are wanting one of these cars and the worst does happen with it. So let's hop in our Corolla, go for a little bit of a cruise. Let's talk about it. It is a phenomenal car. I love this thing. I bought this with the intention of using it as a daily driver, and it is my daily driver. But I went into that and knowing myself, I knew I was going to modify the car, X, Y, and Z things, and do some other little basic bolt-ons, and I did not mean for the car to get to the point where it is now, and we'll cover all that in a little bit. But I'm super pumped with this thing. It's a really fun daily driver. It's really engaging. The interior, in some review videos, people are like, oh, it's a Corolla interior. It's nothing special. It's nothing crazy. To me, I think this is phenomenal, super comfortable. It's got all the amenities I want, heated steering wheel, AC, climate control, freaking Apple Art. It's got everything that you'd want out of a daily driver. The car itself, in my opinion, it's fun, it's engaging. Coming from Subarus, WRXs, STIs, it reminds me a lot of those. It's a very rev-happy engine, especially with it being a 3-cylinder. It does like to live a little up higher in the RPM band. Now, in my ownership, like I mentioned earlier, I've had the car 6 months. I've only been able to drive it about 3 of those months because we did go through an engine failure. Now, it could have been as easy as replacing everything that needed replaced, get the car back on the road and keep going, because with this, there was no warranty. I went into this car, I bought it, it was all stock when I bought it. I knew going into it and modifying it, if I touch anything in the engine, if I retune it, what gear? I was in 4th gear. If I do any of that stuff, the warranty is essentially going to be void. Okay, so I went into that with the full understanding. When my engine failed, I did not even try to go through Toyota warranty because I know what's going to happen. They're going to turn me away. It's not worth their time. It's not worth my time to go through and waste everybody's time. So if you opt to modify your engine and you too also have an engine failure, something goes catastrophically wrong, you need to understand that these, even though it's a 3-cylinder, these engines are insanely expensive to build and to rebuild for ungodly reasons. I didn't realize that. I thought it was going to be cheaper when I was building this engine, but lo and behold, it is not. In our case, because Toyota does not use a typical sleeve in these G16E engines, your options are, if the damage isn't too crazy bad, you can recoat the sleeves, or the line, they're not even liners or sleeves, you can recoat the walls of the cylinder at a specialty shop that can do that, or your other option is to buy a new block. Unfortunately, that is the route that we decided to go, was buying a brand new Toyota bottom end and then replacing the internals with forged components from Corolla. Now, for that bottom end, on average, the average price I saw for a G16E short block, that does not include the lower oil pan, well, it doesn't include the lower oil pan, so you're quite literally just getting a bare short block. It's crankshaft, block, rods, pistons, bearings. That's it. That's about $5,200 from Toyota. So I do want people to be wary and understand that when they go into these cars, I would not expect them to be cheap, or I don't want to say non-affordable, but even relatively affordable for the most part. Now, when it comes to the power side of things, if you guys watch the series on this, you'll know we have a built engine. We've upgraded our transmission. We've got clutch, flywheel, bigger turbo, pretty much everything you can do to a Corolla, with the exception of the fuel system, because we've been running into some growing pains with it being a new platform still. And at least in the States, I want to clarify this, in the States, I know the G16E has been out in Australia and some other countries for quite a while. However, it's new here, so there's not as much R&D locally, stateside, I guess I should say, for this platform. And what I mean by growing pains is parts availability isn't always the best, part selection isn't always the best, waiting for R&D on some parts to come out, build your car for, like for us, we're trying to target 500 wheel, probably not the best idea, to be completely honest with you guys, in this 3-cylinder, but the growing pains with the new platform are definitely real with this thing. So if you do want to get into one of these cars, just expect that. Like, yes, obviously part selection and everything is getting better as time goes on, and these have been out longer, but don't come into this expecting there to be as many parts for this as you'd find in like an LS or a Honda, Subaru, anything like that. New engine, new platform, growing pains. We do, although, have some fun stuff on here. So if I go like this and I go down, it's quite fun. We have rolling anti-lag in this car. But don't go into the expectation of these cars of them going to be making big power or anything like that, which I don't think everyone is, because a lot of people understand it's a 3-cylinder, it's a 1.6 liter engine. It's not meant for big power. For a daily driver, I will say this car is actually one of my favorites out there. It is all-wheel drive, it's responsive, it's peppy, it's fun. It's honestly quite easy to work on also. It's probably one of the easiest engines I have worked on and built. It's very simple, it's very mechanical. There's not a whole bunch of crazy extras here and there with this, because I know when you open the engine bay in one of these and you look in there, it does look quite intimidating. But this one might sound a little odd, but something else that actually bothers me with this car is I don't feel like I have a lot of storage in here to put stuff. Like, I've got a little cubby down there that's a wireless phone charger. I've got a cup holder and like a door card down here. Same with the other side, but I don't have like an inset in the door, which I like to put like small stuff, like keys. Having no center console does get a little bit annoying, and like I mentioned earlier, the aftermarket ones, they just wobble, they move a lot, and it doesn't feel like a nice OEM unit, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm putting a center console in my car, I don't want it to wiggle around a ton. I want it to be for the most part molded. I don't know why Toyota didn't just put in a center console in here. Seems a little weird in my opinion. The NVH from the clutch doesn't bother me too much, but it does get annoying after a while if you're not listening to music. Like, I'm not listening to music just to be able to film with you guys, and all I can really hear is clutch and transmission, which I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing per se, but I'll be honest, knowing what I know now, I don't know if I would have bought this car and modified it. Knowing what I know now. That doesn't mean that I don't like the car. I love the car. But knowing what I know now, I don't know, my feelings about it feel like they've kind of changed a little bit. I am so freaking glad to have this car back, because it's so much fun. I'm not gonna lie, I do get a little PTSD driving this thing whenever I look at my oil pressure on my oil temps. If you guys remember, we were suffering from low oil pressure on the original engine. I saw like down to 9 PSI at idle, which is incredibly low on these cars. They should be like 17 to 22 PSI, somewhere in there, fully warm. So every now and then I do get a little bit of PTSD about that. It does scare me a little bit. Like I said, if we do lose another engine in the Corolla, I'm probably just gonna fix it and get rid of the car at that point, because it's just so ungodly expensive on these things to have to rebuild these and build them multiple times. For example, the oil cooler that Toyota wants for this engine, if you go to buy a brand new one, $1,700 after tax from Toyota, which is absolutely insane to me for a factory oil cooler. And it's not even like an external cooler or anything, it's the water cooled one to bolster the engine. It's just stupid for some of the parts. Like, there's no rhyme or reason that it should cost that much. So if something does happen again, like I said, I probably wouldn't be opposed to getting rid of the car. But with all of that aside, I do genuinely love this chassis. I love this car. It is so much fun to drive. It reminds me a lot of like my old 08 to 14 STIs, especially the hatchback forms, where you feel like you have a lot of space inside of the car. And to be honest, you fold down the rear seats back there, you do have a lot of space. The seats are comfortable. It's a nice, inviting place to be. I think the longest road trip I've taken in this car so far has been probably 3 hours. And like my back didn't hurt, the bolstering felt great. I personally didn't have any issues with it. And I'm more on the smaller side of guys. I am 5'7" and a half. I'm gonna give myself that extra half inch right there, because every half inch matters. About 5'7", 5'8". I weigh about 175 pounds, and I fit in these seats rather nicely. Now, if you are on the taller side, you may end up hitting your head a little bit on the ceiling, especially if you take this car to the track and you have a helmet on. You're probably gonna hit the ceiling if you're a little bit taller. For the looks of the car, I honestly don't feel like I need to do much to it. Like, I really like how the Circuit Edition looks. I did lose my front lip, so I might buy a new front lip for the car, but outside of that, like, I think the car looks phenomenal. We are just on a set of Limit Plus 1 Swift lowering springs, with a set of Anki RS05 RRs with a 265/35/18 tire. The wheels are 18 by 9.5 plus 35, and it fits phenomenal. I still have the factory wheel spacer in the rear for those of you that are wondering. Fitment's great. Drivability is perfect. I'm not too low where I'm scraping on things. It's not too high where it looks out of place or a little bit funny. I think it's like right in that sweet spot. It's just fun to play with. Right now the car's probably making right around 300 wheel horsepower. It's not making all the gobs of power out there, but it's enough to have fun with right now. And for me, after not having the car for the past 2 months and finally getting it back, I have a blast with it. I don't need it to make all the power right now. The 300 wheel that it does make is plenty. Things I will say, these cars can be a little finicky for, like I said, it could be growing pains in them. It's still early on in the United States. Like, it just threw a check engine light for misfire. See, it has 1 misfire count on cylinder 2. It does get relatively annoying. So I'm gonna come out here, I'm gonna park it. It's literally, it has 1 misfire count on cylinder 2, but it's at like one very specific point that it might freak out. Like, I'm giving you guys the most real 4 misfire, random misfire, signal rate above threshold, misfire, cylinder 2 and cylinder 3. So let me clear these. It's times like this where I do get annoyed with the car. And at this point, like, it's like, it shouldn't be misfiring, but it literally just started doing this when I started shooting this video too. Literally just started doing this. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I totally regret buying this car because I'm having these couple of misfires every now and then, but it's like, it gets old. It only does it at idle and low load. So my car, pull up my misfire counter. It literally did this as soon as I got to the shop today. So after thinking about it after a while and driving the car around more and more and more, to be completely honest with you guys, I don't think I would do it again. I do genuinely love the GR Corolla. I do love the ideology behind the car. I love the way that it looks. I love the way that it drives. But if you are wanting one of these cars and you know you're gonna modify it and worse comes to worse and something does happen, I personally would have rather waited until there was more support out for the car. I feel like the internet did hype up these cars quite a bit, and I'm not saying that it's a bad car by any means. I would 100% buy this car again. However, I don't think I would really modify it, or I did do light mods before. I personally don't think I would modify it outside of looks and maybe like a catback or something along those lines. Now, I don't necessarily regret my choice with the Corolla because I've been having an absolute blast with it. And it's been nice to be able to drive it again. It reminded me of why I love the car. Like I said, it's engaging, it's fun, it's peppy, it's small enough to where you can just throw it around and have some fun with it. And it sounds good. It's got a lot of good features about it. There are some downsides though, like we talked about. Worst comes to worst, it's very expensive to build these cars. It is ungodly expensive if something happens and you do not have a warranty. If you do have one of these and you are contemplating modifying it, keep in mind anything that tunes the car, Toyota can scan the ECU. A lot of people don't realize this. Toyota can scan the ECU in these cars and pretty much any manufacturer in modern cars to see if the car was ever tuned. Even if you pull a tune off, for the most part, they can still see it. There's a PID, at least with Subarus, I know there's a PID number that changes. With Toyotas, I'm pretty sure it leaves a mark on the ECU, and manufacturers, warranty companies can see that and they'll deny you almost immediately. Half the time, if you take it in, they'll tear it down as a diag, scan it, and then find out that the ECU has been touched, and then you'll be charged that cost for the teardown or the diagnosis of the car, which is one thing you don't want. I personally, unfortunately, see that happen quite often with Subarus. People think they can get away with it. They'll scan their ECU, they'll have their car torn down, and then they get left with a bill for diagnostic and teardown on their chassis. You don't want that to happen with one of these. I don't know what Toyota charges labor-wise for a rebuild if something does go wrong and you are left with the bill, but I can only imagine it's not going to be cheap. So it has been a couple of weeks since I filmed that little Corolla driving clip and whatnot, and the misfires would not stop. They would be very random, very inconsistent, and I could not replicate them. And it really only seemed like to happen when the car got extremely, or not even extremely hot, but it got like hot, if that makes sense. So I did everything within my power to try to rectify it. I put new coil packs on it, I put new spark plugs on it, new port injectors from Toyota, new direct injectors from Toyota. Didn't seem to change anything. We saw random misfires on cylinders 2 and a little bit on 3, but absolutely none on cylinder 1. Verified timing was fine. I have done everything that I can freaking think of to try to replicate this problem and get it fixed, and quite literally nothing that I was doing was fixing the problem. I just didn't find myself driving the car anymore. It sat. I drove the Tacoma every day because, to be quite honest, I was paranoid and I was anxious driving the Corolla, especially after having an engine failure at 1,300 miles in the car. It kind of sucked the fun out of all of it in the Corolla for me. So with that being said, we did trade in the Corolla. But I did tell the dealer when I traded the car in that it did have this weird intermittent misfire thing. I think it's a heat related issue. It seems like it only does it because it doesn't do it on initial drive cycles. It only does it after the car's been warmed up. So I couldn't tell you why it's doing it, but it's intermittent and it randomly happens. Like I said, some people will be upset, but I did want to put a forewarning out there that I just wanted somebody to be aware if they were to go buy the Corolla, that they were at least somewhat informed that, hey, this may potentially be an issue later. I don't know. I couldn't replicate the problem. I couldn't cause it to happen repeatedly, but it does happen. And like I said, I completely told the dealer with this. I completely told the dealer this before we traded it in, so that way they were aware. They said that's fine. They took the car. So I mean, it very well could have been a lemon car. I quite frankly don't know. I've seen a lot of the Corollas on Facebook groups, Reddit posts, some random issues that some people have. Like one of them blew up an automatic transmission. I've seen somebody blow up a transfer case. I've seen stock engines have check engine lights. I've seen stock engines blow up. So it seems like the Corolla is very hit or miss for people. Sometimes they give absolutely no problems to some people. Other people, I've seen nothing but issues. And unfortunately, I do think we were one of the ones that have issues in them. So I don't think the Corolla is a bad platform. I just think that we had a bad experience with it because it, like, blowing up an engine at 1,300 miles with just an intake on it seems a little bit ridiculous. So like I said, we did trade the Corolla in, and I opted to get something that was a little bit different from what I normally buy from cars. So figured, why not double the cylinders, why not double the turbos, and why not double the displacement?